I am 4 days out from running the Boston Marathon. I just wrapped up an 8-week training camp in Etan, Kenya, the home of champions. One of the most toughest yet the most inspiring places in the world to be for distance runners. But this camp wasn't just about a marathon prep. It was about rebuilding, resetting, and remembering the deeper why behind it all. In this video, I want to take you inside the training, the growth, and the mindset shifts, and where this journey is really going. I came to Kenya because I needed intensity, a condition that I knew that I strive under. High altitude, hard roads, hills, relentless consistency, the environment that forces you to level up. But I also came here to quiet the noise, to focus fully. Eat, sleep, train, repeat. Etan is the type of place where you come when you want to become the best version of yourself. No distractions, just dial in and work. And I needed that. My training here was some of the most focused and consistent I've ever done for a marathon. During the 8 weeks, I averaged 110 kilometers per week and peaked at 130 kilometers per week, with the key workouts being the long runs on Moyseyev Road, with the biggest run being 38 kilometers at 4:19 average, and track sessions twice a week. But the goal of this camp wasn't just to survive the mileage. Over the past year, I've lost 10 kg whilst trying to pursue getting faster in the shorter distances. And I made it my mission to bring that back, to rebuild the body in which I felt the best in. Through smart strength work, nutrition, and dialing in my recovery, I was able to regain 2 kilograms over the past 8 weeks of the camp without sacrificing any of my running. Personally, I always loved this hybrid approach because it allowed me to combine two things that I truly love and admire: strength and running. It allows me to have the best of both worlds. And long term, this is what feels the most sustainable for me and how I plan on training going forward. But this camp wasn't about just training my body. It was about building something bigger. I launched my one-on-one coaching program. I released my first ebook, The Hybrid Blueprint, all to help others to build strength, speed, and endurance simultaneously. I also had the opportunity of sitting down with some amazing people. Olympic medalist Abdi Nagy, world record ultra runner Alexander Sorokin,
European half marathon record holder Julian Wonders,
and Boda Colum, a man who mentored generations of Kenyan champions. These conversations and these connections remind me that I'm not just training for one singular race. I'm building a movement, a platform, a story that helps others to do hard things in their own lives. All of this started because I wanted to challenge myself, but everything changed after my health scare. I kept getting blood clots and the doctors could not figure out why. And one of the nights I was pretty sure I wasn't going to be waking up, so I had to write a death note just in case. This shook me to my core and changed my entire outlook on my life. After that, every step, every run became something much deeper. A proof that I could still do difficult things. A proof that I was still alive, still capable, and still pushing. Running the length of Ireland, doing 50 marathons in 50 days, they weren't just physical feats. They were my therapy. They were my statement to myself that I am still capable and I will not allow that incident to define me. But what hit me the most during those 50 days was the community that was formed. I had the privilege of helping over 50 people run the longest distances or the first marathons during those 50 days. And that's when the shift happened. I realized it wasn't just about me anymore. It was about helping others to push themselves. It was about showing others what's possible, about pushing their limits and finding a stronger, more resilient versions of themselves. I used to just want to be the one who did the difficult things. Now I want to be the reason why other people can believe that they can. And in less than 15 minutes time, I'll be leaving for Boston. And with everything that I've built, the miles, the muscle, the mindset, I feel ready. Not because I know exactly how the race day will unfold, but because I know I've done the work. My goal there is to run sub 2:45, but honestly, Boston is just a checkpoint on a longer mission. A mission to redefine what it is to be an athlete, to be a builder, to be a leader. And if any of this speaks to you, subscribe and join the journey. This is just the beginning. So we're currently in the Puma pop-up in Boston. I'm on a bit of a mission. So the race is on Monday. I still don't have a racing shoe and I'm stuck between two shoes. I have the new Puma shoe that came out a few days ago and it's said to be like 3% faster than any other shoe on the market, or stick with what I already know. So I raced in Adidas Pro 3s in Copenhagen. I trained in the Pro 3s and I would just upgrade to Pro Force for the race. Realistically, it's going to be a new shoe regardless, but the question is it going to be Puma or Adidas? So as much as I like the shoe, it feels comfortable everywhere from here onwards. It feels very fast, but there's only one downfall. I'm a heel striker, so anytime I land on my foot, I'll be landing on this very unprotected part of the shoe, and it's just not going to be comfortable enough. I'm not feeling confident that I'll be able to perfectly strike for the entirety of the marathon on my first go with these shoes. So as much as I would have loved to try these shoes and run in them in the actual marathon, I think I will have to try out the Pro Force and give them a shot. I am somewhat disappointed. I would have loved to try these. You know, I'm very excited about this shoe, but this part of the shoe that has very little protection, it's not giving me a lot of assurance for the marathon. Maybe for a shorter race like 5k, 10k, for the marathon, I don't feel comfortable enough. It's just my personal opinion. Maybe if I had a chance to run like a long run in these shoes, I might be a bit more confident going into the race. But given the fact that from my first test run here and walk around, I was already feeling a bit unstable. I'm not feeling confident enough trying them out properly for the first time in the race. Hence, we're going to try Adidas instead. I'm pretty sure I've been walking in this line for the past, no joke, 25 minutes. This is the longest line to get the bib I've ever been in. So I've picked up the bib. I am 2816. Now I just realized that even though the bus pickup time for the morning is going to be at 6:30, I won't start till 10 a.m. So I'll be just hanging around for the goods of 4 hours doing fuck all. I'll need to bring food with me. So we're at the Expo, and it just so happens the only available shoe in my size is the Force in Boston colorway. I think it's a sign. Also, I'm going to try them on, but it feels good. It is very familiar to me because I ran in Pro 3s, and that's my Raceday shoe sorted. Just having that bit more padding at the back makes me feel so much more secure. For me, I feel like when it comes to a marathon, a lot of it has to be with how you are mentally set, and having that bit of security at the back, knowing that I feel a bit more comfortable, a bit more stable, it could be the difference between like running in PPE and just feeling shit on a day. It's very happy. Also, it's a nice Boston Marathon colorway. It's going to be very snazzy looking, so let's go. Bib collected, shoes sorted. Honestly, that little area was absolute nightmare. It was impossible to get through. I really want to get some merch. Now, I was willing to splash the cash, but there just wasn't anything nice there. Now, we're at the main part of the expo, and the plan of action here is to get myself molten gels for the race and yeah, explore what else is on offer. We're at the Adidas pop-up. We have sweets over here. My man, who's going for what? 240?
No, I just want a PB. I'll be anything under 243.54, I'll be happy. A second under, I'm happy.
This man's going to send it. And then he has a big project after Boston in exactly 1 month's time.
Yeah.
The man is doing what?
Running across the island of Jamaica.
Simple.
345 kilometers over 4 days.
Yeah, just chill holiday in the sun, you know. Take it nice and dandy, you know. Using Boston Marathon as a warm-up, as you did. We're doing a bit of a cheat from bagels, you know. I did say I was going to be eating just bagels for the entire thing, but I got this nice pie with me, so I cannot say enough to that. We have about 200 grams of carbs here. The aim for today is 865. We are already 2 bags of bagels down, so this is going to bring us up to around 600 carbs. And then we have another bag of bagels at the end of the day. Let's go. Sweets, talk us through your carb load for today. What are you having?
I'm just having a pizza. It's a little small pizza to start the carb load. Next 48 hours, getting ready for Monday.
How do you carb load? What do you eat? How much stuff do you eat? Do you have a target in mind?
I don't really have a target, to be honest. I just eat what I feel like I need to eat. Yeah, but the morning of, I won't have that much in terms of carb loading. Like my breakfast isn't that large on marathon morning day, but it should all be inside me already. So yeah.
Enjoy pizza.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I shall.
Hello, we're back to my hotel room. I'm finishing up the last bag of bagels for the day, the last bit of carbs. And before I get this down myself and head to bed, I'm going to do a little haul of everything that I got at the Expo. I'm not going to lie, the Expo was a bit of a letdown. There were only really like the main sponsors of the run present at the Expo. Most other brands have their pop-ups or activations outside, so they are not really present. So it really limits the experience of the actual Expo, which I guess like you still are able to go to other shops. But for example, when you're like in London, you still have like the New Balance selling all the merch, and once you go in deeper into the expo, you have all the other stands, which just makes the experience a bit more compact, a bit more kind of interesting. You also have like fun little treadmill events or, you know, race events inside the expo, whereas the Boston Expo was very timid, where you kind of just like go in, get out. Like the queue was enormous. And I'm not messing. It literally took almost an hour just to pass through that queue to get my bib. It was just never ending queue. You know, I was getting dizzy walking around those little loops. But anyway, all the complaining aside, let's do like a walkthrough. The first thing that I got that I was very happy about were these Adidas 4s. So I got them in the Boston colorway, which is very snazzy, I'm not gonna lie. I had the first look at these shoes before they were released in a 10 before Christmas, and I was very much in love with them. The only thing that I was really disappointed about is that I did not have them in my size in a 10. So when I got to actually try them on my feet today, they were exactly what I wanted. They're lighter version of the trees. The foam seems a bit more softer, feel familiar but lighter, so I did feel a bit more confident going with them as opposed to the Puma or trees. Now I have to caveat, I have not run in the Puma shoes, so maybe if I did do like a 5k run in them or race, they might feel better than just simply walking around. But because I didn't have a chance to try them out properly and I was going off the feel I had whilst I was walking around, I just couldn't get enough confidence to bring myself around to race in them for the first time, like have the first experience on Monday. So I'm open to trying them out again and hopefully they feel better, but I'm a familiar of never trying something super new on the race day, you know, stick to something you know, and this just felt a bit more familiar, so I just went with this. Number 2, we have the bib. We have number 2816. We have my name over here. Very nice. They got it right. They didn't misspell it, which is, you know, it's a new for me. But one thing that annoyed me, and I knew it. I knew it's going to be a long day in the office on Monday. The bus for me will be leaving from the finish line at 6:30 in the morning. The margin for me won't start until 10 a.m. which means like realistically I need to be leaving the hotel around like 5:30 to get to the finish line, to get the bus. It's gonna be a very early wake-up call to get all the carbs in, first of all. And second of all, I'll be just hanging around for guts of like 4.5 hours before I start running. From the point of view of getting the carbs in and just like mentally hyping yourself up and stuff like that, it's gonna be something very, very different to me. Like I've never done something like that. Usually I just wake up, eat, walk up to the starting line, maybe hang around for like an hour and a half at most, you know, like if you're gonna have to commute quite a lot. Whereas this is gonna be a very long day, very like early wake up call. So yeah, I am more afraid of like this limbo of hanging around and weather on Monday, because like today was quite windy. And if you're running for 42 kilometers with headwind, it's gonna be a very long day. So like I'm more afraid of just the morning logistics going sideways and the weather than I am of the hills. What was in the bag? What was in the bag? To be honest, this is going to be a live reaction because I haven't checked out. We have a Chucky milk. This will be going down with my bagels right now. A yellow Boston top. Snazzy yellow color. I like it. I have a bone to pick with Boston Athletics and like the Boston organizers. Well, actually, scrap that. I have a bone to pick with Adidas because they were in charge of the merch. The merch was shit this year. I really wanted to get something, but it was just like, it was very expensive, first of all, but also like, I don't mind paying, you know, because it's gonna be like for memories, all I got is good stuff. But like, the designs were very meh. Like the only thing that was somewhat nice was the jacket. I got this jacket. It is the only singular item that was an okay design that I felt like I would actually wear again. Like the rest of the tops, it felt like they just printed stuff just to get the merch out and they knew people would buy it because it's Boston Marathon, which felt kind of lazy. I have to go on my knees because the camera is like angle. Hey, this was like the only item that felt somewhat okay. Hands I got it. Oh, that being said, $120. Are you well for a windbreaker? Like I was questioning if it was worth it. Let's go back to what's in the bag. The actual clear bag, and from my understanding, this is going to be the bag that we'll need to be using for the starting line. What's this? We have the Boston magazine. Nice. We have a bunch of stickers. We have a Boston sticker, pamphlets that I will not be very much looking at. Bottle opener. But this is what I was more excited about. Food. So we have a Cliff Bar, cookies and cream. I'll be having one of those right now. A bib tag, some electrolytes. I wasn't expecting anything super exciting in a goodie bag. They usually are very meh. But considering like it's Boston and it was meant to be like a super big race, somewhat of a letdown. Then we went to Adidas pop-up store. We got like a top, And then at the Expo, I did end up getting myself the marathon pack and a few other stuff. So in the marathon pack, we had Boston bottle. I was paying for Morton, and there was a part of me that was crying. I'm not gonna lie. This bag of gold costed me $71. No, $79. And it was a tough call. But like, what did we get in the bag? We have 320 mixes. We have 2 caffeine 320 mixes. The way I'm planning on using these, I'm gonna have one of these the night before, one of these in the morning, then I'm gonna bring one of these with me to the starting line, and I drink it like an hour beforehand because I'm gonna be hanging around for like 4 hours. Just eating in the morning won't be sufficient because like 4-hour window. So yeah, one of these are just spares just in case. Then I have 2 160 solids. Also, these are going with me to the starting line because I just need food with me because those 4 hours are like, are gonna annoy me. It's just like, from the point of view of nutrition and all, it's not what I'm used to. I will survive. I mean, like, I was doing like long runs on Moyseyev Road based on 1 Snickers and a Red Bull, so I guess like I'll be fine. But just like for the race day, I like to have things just like lined out, and the fact that those 4 hours beforehand ruining my plans, my kind of usual routine, is somewhat annoying me. But that's just me being me. Anyway, I have a 160 that came with the marathon pack, but I won't be using it because it's just not enough. And then the rest are just gels. Ideally, I really wanted to get like 160 gels because that would mean I would only need like 2 gels per hour, but they only had 100 gels. So the way I'm gonna approach it is I'm gonna have 3 gels every hour, and I'm gonna go at the starting line, like right as I'm starting, like before the whistle blows off. I have a caffeine, then I have non-caffeine, and then I have like a caffeine one every hour. So it's gonna be caffeine, 2 normal ones, caffeine, 2 normal ones. You get the pattern. I'm gonna be consuming like 8 to 9 gels. For some people, that's too much. For me, I know I'm able to consume like anywhere from like 80 to 100 grams of carbs per hour, and like I know I perform very, very well. So that's gonna be my approach for the actual race. So we have the shakeout today, and instead of just doing one shakeout, we're doing all of them. Doing all of them. We have a la carte shakeout menu over here. Currently we're at the Bandit shakeout. It's a bit of a walkout at the moment, but hey, it's going to be fun. Let's go.
We feel fantastic. We are T-minus 24 hours from Boston, and I'm running none of it, so I feel great.
Even though I should be nervous, the hills and all, I'm too calm. And I'm more nervous about how calm I am than the actual race. Like, the hills are gonna be fine. Kenya got me ready for the hills.
100%.
I'm more nervous about the weather, because if there's gonna be a headwind for 42k, it's gonna be a shit day in the office. Rain.
Still 250, right?
Yeah. I mean, it has to be a very bad day for me to go slower than 250. This man just chilling with the medal here. Man himself, how are we? So, this is it, huh? Stop number 2 or 3 or 4, I'm not sure, I lost the count. We spent the morning just running around shakeout runs. We've done Asics, we've done Bandit, we've done Runner. We haven't really been running with all of them, we're just kind of taking in the vibes because the city is absolutely popping right now. There's so many runs on, there's so many runners around. It is just a vibe to be here. Right now we're at the Adidas shakeout and the city has showed up. This is actually the only shakeout I will properly do because I do have a marathon tomorrow, so I am saving my legs. It seems to be a good one to be at. Ooh, content friends! Content friends! Ooh, friends!
Let's go! I love that. Let's go!
Possible not to miss you. Boston is literally all running. Everyone is running. It's gonna be mad tomorrow. Thank you, sir. So it is currently 7 o'clock. It is probably my bedtime. I should be in bed right now. But as you can see, this is not my bedroom. I'm in the gym. I'm getting a bit of a workout in. Nothing too strenuous. I'm not that much of an idiot. Just some easy stuff to get some blood flow going through my upper body. No lower body because I have enough stress for tomorrow. I want to be fresh. I've trained before my long runs for entirety of the block. I'm able to handle the load. And for me, doing something like this, like literally a 15-minute session, just calms me down, you know, lets me kind of focus in, dial in. So this is what I'm doing. Also just, you know, get a cheeky bicep pump before tomorrow. So yeah, I'm vain, big surprise. Overall, feeling good. Tomorrow is gonna be okay. As I said, the only big fear for tomorrow that I have is if the weather is very bad, specifically the wind. Other than that, the hills, I can't do anything about it. I'm gonna run the hills, it's as simple as that. And then yeah, just gonna enjoy it, have fun, eat a bunch of carbs, run a bunch of miles, and just have time of our lives. Let's go. Welcome to the race day. I have 25 minutes to get to the bus, so I'll be leaving the next like minute and a half. So bit of a little recap. Adidas shoes on, wearing half tights. In terms of the outfit, I'm pretty much just replicating what I was wearing on my longest run in Kenya. I felt very good on that run. Had good splits, so mentally I just know everything that I used there worked. So you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But yeah, I have my Monster here. I'm gonna have another Monster can with me at the starting line. I'll have one Morton mix with me as well. I'm gonna just probably bring a bottle with me and leave it at the starting line. Let's tango. So we have good news. There's no wind so far. It's definitely good. If there's no wind for the rest of the day, I'm a happy camper because fighting the headwind, as I said, is something I was not really looking forward to. Another kind of good news, it's crispy, it's fresh, it's cold, which means I won't be overheating too much. So that's a bonus. It won't be a repeat of a Barcelona marathon from 3 years back. So that's nice. Well, other than that, it's buzzing. Currently we're waiting to get into the buses. There's a mad queue. So if we're lucky, in the next half an hour, we might get into the bus. It's fine with me. Promise that it's fine. There we are, 2.5 hours in. Yes, let's go! It is chilly AF. I should have brought more layers, but hey, I'm not going back to my hotel room now, it's too late. Boylston Marathon completed. I'm gonna do a little recap of the day because I wasn't really able to record during the race because I hate running with camera or like vlogging whilst I'm running for a few reasons. One, I get out of my zone and I don't really get to focus on the race. Second of all, having your hand out like this for a prolonged period of time just gives me a cramp in my arm. During the race, I was already getting cramps in my legs. The last thing I wanted was to get cramps in my shoulders and stop because of that. At the finish line, it was pretty manic because you have to imagine it's 30,000+ people that needs to be bussed out 42 kilometers away from Boston. So logistically, it's a bit of a nightmare for organizers. They managed it pretty well. I did have to wait around for about 40-50 minutes to get onto the bus because obviously the queues are large. There's a large number of people trying to get to the starting line. But it was definitely an experience because thousands of people are waiting around and there are these yellow school buses just going off one by one. As those buses are heading off, all the people who are still waiting for the buses, all the people who are there to support their friends who'll be running the marathons, they're all cheering onto those buses. So it's almost like a, like a cool send-off to get you kind of pepped up for the experience. After that, it's an hour drive to the starting line, but it also makes you realize how long the journey back to Boston is going to be, because if you're driving for an hour, you'll be like running for quite a while as well. At the starting line, we arrived to the school and that's where everyone is waiting to be called up to their pants. Now, I did miscalculate how cold it was going to be on the day. I only bought a t-shirt, which was not enough, so I was freezing from the get-go. Thankfully, some of the volunteers were able to give me like a plastic bin bag, and I just wrapped myself into that bin bag just to get some insulation. So the race for me was starting at 10 a.m. So at around 9 a.m. we started making our way towards the starting line, which was about a kilometer walk from where the school was, where the waiting area was. I should say there's a lot of walking around, waiting around before the start. If you are doing the Boylston Marathon next year or any following year, be aware there's a long period of waiting around. So do bear that in mind from the point of view of logistics, getting your nutrition, getting your layers. That's something I would definitely bring more of if I'm doing Boylston Marathon again. Now at the starting line, given it was the Patriots Day, we had US national anthem, we had a few fighter jets flying over our heads. You know, it was a very American day. I mean, given it's America, no surprise there. And then once we started running, in terms of the course, everyone was complaining about, how hilly it was going to be. And maybe because if I trained on a very hilly terrain for like 8 weeks leading up to Boston, it wasn't that bad. The first 24 kilometers of the race, it was predominantly downhill, especially the first 2K. It was, I think like net like 40 meters down. You were just sending it. The way I approached the race was, for the first half of the race, first 24 kilometers of the the race or so, because it's then downhill. The way I saw it was pretty much free energy. So I just completely sanded for those 24 kilometers. I knew that from about 25k to about 33k, that's where the hills are. And then after that, around 34 to the end of the race, for like last 7-8k, it's all more or less flat or downhill. I knew that the last 12 to 14k are going to be tough regardless. That part of the marathon is never easy, but I saw that net downhill for the first 24k as an opportunity to just make up a lot of time. I did know that by going very fast and hard on those downhills, my quads are going to be in a lot of pain, but that was the price I was willing to pay, because like once I came to the actual hills, I knew I'd be able to just power through them given all the experience I've had with the hills in Italy. Thankfully, my strategy completely worked out.
Dmytro! Woo!
Come on!
Get him paycheck. Wait a minute.
Boylston Street, completed it, mate. For the past like 3 kilometers of that run, I was cramping up in every single muscle of my body. I was so tempted to stop. But you know what? We don't quit. We don't fucking quit.
Congratulations.
Very much. Thank you. Boston 2025. Super 45 minutes. Completed. Let's go. Marathon completed, and I'm cramping up. And it's not in my legs. I am cramping up in my legs as well. But I'm cramping up so much in my fucking shoulders. It's the problems of being just massive unit like myself.
I probably may have went out a bit too hard in the first few K. In the first few K, because you're so packed in, I just wanted to get away from the pack as much as possible, because I hate being boxed off by people, because I hate not having room to run. Without a doubt, anytime that does happen in a race, I end up getting tripped over by somebody from behind or pushing into me, and I just don't like having no space when I'm running. I don't mind, like on track could be different, you know, when doing a 1500, it's very hard to make too much space. But in a road race where there's like plenty of room, I like to have some breathing space. So the way I saw it, for the first 8-10k, just break away from the pack, and after that settle into the race pace and just keep it constant. And I do have to admit, I did went out a bit too hot maybe. My first K was like 3:18. I wasn't going to be running 3:18 for an entire race, so going out 3:18 for the first K might have been a bit too much, but I had a plan behind it. Then my first 5k was 17:53. My first 10k was 36:47, and then I hit halfway mark at 1:19. Strategy was going very well. Like I knew halfway through that if I managed to more or less keep the same pace on the hills and not reduce it too drastically, I may be potentially in the area of 2:40. I tried to go for that. That was my like secondary goal. If everything went well on the day, I would have liked 2:40, but I knew with a lot of downhills at the start and then uphills towards the end, that could be somewhat difficult. I was willing to give it a shot. And the funny thing about the hills, everyone constantly keeps going on about how bad the hills in Boston are, you know, how hilly that course is. And yes, there were hills, but they weren't anything too drastic. Funnily enough, infamous Heartbreak Hill, I didn't realize I actually ran it until I got to K35. Before the race, I looked at the elevation map and I saw that the hills started around 25k and they don't finish till about K32, 33. So anytime I saw a hill during that little period, I would just ease off, trying to save my legs for the big bad Heartbreak Hill. Once I got to K35, I realized, well, at this point all the hills are behind me, so in hindsight I know where the Heartbreak Hill was, but it wasn't that bad. And I think that the only thing that's so bad about it is the entire course is pretty much a straight line. There's very little turning left or right involved. There's very little maneuvering as such. It's all just a straight line, but the only point where there is somewhat of a turn or a sharp turn is on that Heartbreak Hill. So when you get into the start of the Heartbreak Hill, you're going downhill, and then at the bottom of that downhill you turn right, a sharp right, and that's where that Heartbreak Hill starts. It's not drastic change of direction, but because you're going downhill and you have to go uphill right away and turn right, you're losing some momentum, and then you're going uphill for about maybe a K at most. So it's not a huge hill, and because it's around 32 or so K, you feel pretty tired, but honestly it wasn't that bad. I'm not trying to big myself up by any means, but there were bigger hills on easier runs in Etan. So I was expecting something along the lines of those big hills that I saw in Etan for like a kilometer. It was pretty manageable. And then once I got to K35, I realized, well, all the hills must be done now, so I can send it. Towards the second part of the race, it did get pretty warm. I say from about K38 onwards, I did begin to start cramping up. And funny enough, it wasn't just in my legs, it was also in my shoulders. I think it was very much because I was not getting enough hydration. I only had a chance to drink from those cups. During the marathons, you know, you have to work with what you have. So those cups is all you got. And inevitably, when you're running with those cups, if you get a mouthful of water from each cup, you're doing well. The rest is just going everywhere but my mouth. So I think ideally, if I'm doing a race like that again, I might have like a soft flask with me at all times, so I'd be able to kind of sip on it. But other than that, the atmosphere was absolutely mad. I think for the entirety of the race, from start to finish, like starting from that school where we are waiting for the race at the beginning of the morning to the very end of the finish line, there wasn't a single empty spot. You know, people cheering, there was like faces, banners, screams, cheers everywhere. And it was perhaps the most hyped up race I have ever been at, because like inevitably in other kind of marathons I have ran, there would be some quiet spots, some quiet neighborhoods that people don't really care about kind of going to because it's too far out. With Boston, it was just a non-stop screaming tunnel, and the closer you got to the Boston finish line, the louder it got. For the last K, there was just so much screaming and supporting that it almost felt like you're like winning the race. You know, obviously I was not, but all the screams, cheers and support made you feel like you are. And then to make things better, a few of my friends who were running the race as well, they all PB'd. So it was just an overall great atmosphere and race. Obviously it's great when you are doing like well as well, but when like the entire group does well in the race and PBs as well, it's just great vibes overall. 10 out of 10, Boston. I love the experience and I would definitely do it again. And then in terms of looking back at the block, I'm happy with everything that I've done. My approach fully paid off. I would also not change anything. My approach of going for quality over quantity in terms of mileage definitely worked out because it allowed me to get the time that I wanted, progress, whilst also progressing in strength department and in gym department from the point of view of getting more size back. I'll be pretty much using the same approach going forward for the next few weeks for the summer, trying to get back to around 90 kilogram mark. So that's another like 3-4 kg for me to get there. And then once we get there, I'll be pretty much back to maintenance and just having fun, running and being strong. And before I wrap up, I just want to say a huge, massive thank you to everyone who has tuned in into this series over the past few months. I really also appreciate all the messages of support before the marathon, after the marathon. It means the world to me. And it's great to see the little community that we're building here across TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. There's going to be more to come on this channel. I have a half marathon race coming up in 2 weeks time in Hackney in London, so we're going to race that, and after that we have something different, something special lined up for you, so stay tuned for that. See ya.